Yo, what's up, everybody? It is Tuesday night. You know what that means. It's Flyers Talk A2D. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Never miss anything that A2D has to give you, whether you're watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Sorry, not Instagram, Twitter, or if you're going to catch us later on, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Spotify. Don't matter. We're everywhere. Got a lot to talk about tonight, so let's get to it. Let's go talk some putt.
This is it, Flyers Talk A2D, and we are powered by the doc. That is Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC. She's got 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check out our doc. Make them yours. Visit them online, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. As you see, Matt Sensudi is out. He's under the weather this week, but we are hitting the ice with Brian Daly and Brad Ryer on the top line, centered by yours truly, Rob Povia. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe for notifications to all your favorite shows on A2D Radio. Hey, we got a big show tonight. We're discussing the swirling trade rumors later on in the broadcast. But first, Sam Ersson is closing in on his return from injury. So we want your opinion on our face-off poll, which is the Flyers should take the risk and run with 3 goaltenders with Ersson returning. Agree or disagree? We'll be reading your comments all throughout the podcast as we discuss the plethora of goaltenders, which is a rare thing to say about the Philadelphia Flyers.
No, 1,000%, Robbie. I don't think in my lifetime we've ever said this. There's 3 guys that could potentially start for this team right now. That's Sam Ersson, that's Alex Kolosov, and Ivan Fedotov. Where? Earlier this season, I was out on Fedotov. Now he's bringing me back in. Why? Because he's adjusting to the NHL game. And you know what? Not just as a hockey fan, you love to see this. Maybe not so much if you're not a fan of the Flyers. Maybe you don't love it as much, but you still love to see it because guys get a chance. You never know what's going to happen. This is a kid that could wind up being somebody like, and this is good company. I'm not saying he's getting there, but what if he turns into an Andrei Vasilevsky? 26 years old, he finally got his start with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he took off at 26. Could be that. I'm not saying that's going to be. My expectations are a little bit lower than that. But this is great. So, for me, I got to agree to the poll. You got to run to 3. This is a unique situation for the Flyers. You have 3 healthy guys who can start. And honestly, I think they only finished with 2 of them at the end of the season. I do think come the trade deadline, there's going to be an odd man out, especially if the 3 keep playing the way that they are. And the reason I think that is there's going to be teams at the deadline that might be looking for a second goaltender. And I believe that, and I know Heather's not going to like this when she pops in here. She's not already in here. I haven't looked at the comments yet. It's probably going to be Fedotov. I think he's going to be the odd man out. And I only see that because of his age, 27 years old. Just coming into his prime, a young team that is looking for that starting goaltender, he could be it. So for me, it's a showcase for somebody. This time frame up until the trade deadline. So you want to rock all 3. How they're going to work it, I don't know. Maybe it's a rotation. Maybe it's you're playing the hot hand. Not exactly sure, but to me, you got 3 goaltenders who are playing well. Figure out a way to make it work. Come the trade deadline, get something for one of them.
That's an interesting take. That is an interesting take. And I mean, an overall theme of tonight's show, Brad, that, there are a lot of rumors being talked about. Your team's facing them too right now in terms of players potentially on the move. So how do you feel? Would it be in the Flyers and each goaltender's best interest to rock 3?
You can't risk sending somebody on waivers right now. Somebody's going to pick one of them up. So you rock all three right now. I do agree with Brian that at some point, I think one of them is going to be one of the centerpieces for a trade to bring in the center in here, and that's probably what's going to end up happening. Because that's kind of where that is an area that needs to get better, and certainly that would be the case. They're not gonna send one through waivers. There's no way because they'll get picked up.
Nah.
Yeah.
They could send Kolosov down to the AHL, but then you take a risk of old feelings coming up, and that's the age that we live in, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, he could leave. But he doesn't. So he doesn't get exposed to waivers yet. If they send him down,
No,
okay.
I think.
Oh, he's the one that he's right. He's the one that has a big problem going to the AHL. Well, you know what? Then you keep all of them for now, and you let the teams, the players, determine who's going to be here and who's not going to be here. I mean that's how you do it. But I mean, you've got three. Only one can play, so you might as well get something for one of them while the getting's good.
Well, you could. I mean, you could rotate them and keep every guy fresh with the way that the current schedule is structured. But when you have a player returning from injury that needs to find his pre-injury form, playing 1 out of 3 games is not going to get it done. It's not going to showcase his value either, Brad.
No, that's the problem. But Ersson, I got to think the way Tortorella runs practice, Ersson's getting plenty of work. And you know what? When he's ready to come back, he'll be in top form. He just will, because that's how Tortorella
no sense to rush
practices.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. He's not a soft coach when it comes to that. He'll be ready for that. So when Ersson's ready to play, he'll be at the top of his game. That's just how it is with Tortorella coach teams.
And the other thing too is if you do decide you want to send on Kolosov, you have to be really careful because I think he has a clause where if he gets sent down, he goes back to the KHL. So you run a risk of losing him, maybe not just for the season, but there's a potential that you might lose him permanently. So there may be a chance that if he gets sent down, he doesn't want to come back to the Flyers. So that's a risk you're running as well that I don't want to see happen. So ideally, and again, I know she's going to hate it, but Fedotov to me would potentially be my odd man out. Not just for his potential lack of production or whatever this tends to happen, but because of his age. He's 27 years old. There's 2 young stud goaltenders still in the pipeline. So that's the other thing that you have to keep in mind too. Yegor Zavragin is on the way. Carter Bjarnason is on the way. He's actually going to be on the under 18 the World Junior Tournament for Team Canada. He's going to be one of the goaltenders.
Yes, sir.
You can't run 5 goaltenders.
Right.
You can't do it. You can't do it. So
no, you can't.
You can't. So if you can figure out a way to try and get some more draft capital for this team, and you can get, I don't know, maybe 2nd, 3rd, 4th round pick, maybe multiple picks in the mid round for a guy who's showing to be a borderline starter right now, with the streak that he's on, the stride he's starting to hit, I'd take that all day.
Twice on Sunday.
And twice on Sunday.
Yeah, I think he's going to be part of a Morgan Frost. He and Morgan Frost are going to probably be packaged together to try to get somebody.
Bingo, bango. That's where I feel, because I don't think rolling 3 goalies has never been successful in this league, no matter what era you're talking about. And it doesn't give enough guys enough time to stay in rhythm, stay in the game, right? And Kolosov has shown that he belongs here. I mean, he's posting save percentages north of 900. I mean, Fedotov as well. And together they've allowed 5 goals in the last 3 games played. So, I mean, they're giving you what you need. So, boys, in terms of tonight's face-off hole, I disagree. If they're smart, and this truly is a rebuild, they would look to dish Ersson after he establishes good health
Ooh.
and solid play with a few starts. With the high-costing players we'll be touching on later, you need to give assets, and Sam has shown he can be a more than dependable starter in this league. Cool, calm, and collected between the net. And to be a potential playoff team who lost their goaltender, their starter, or even to work in tandem. And then the Flyers can continue on with Fedotov and Kolosov, with Carson Bjarnason in the stable, as well as, the other goaltender that you mentioned there, Brian. I always forget his name. Always.
Fedotov?
No. The other kid that's back on loan.
Zaragan.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like, if this is a rebuild, then why? I mean, don't get me wrong. Sam Ersson's 24 as well, and he can be a part of the future too. But I'm just saying that what you have here is working, right? Allow Ersson to jump in and say, you can say, Kolosov, we're sending you down for a couple of games until, you'll be getting the call up, right? Or you healthy scratch one of them just for a few until the trade deadline, get a deal done. I know that's good. This is going to be controversial. I knew this when I was coming to the show with this opinion, right? Because all Torch says is Ersson is our number one guy. Well, he could also be somebody else's number one guy if you could pull, a Marco Rossi or possibly even a Dylan Cousins. I'm just saying.
Whoa. Okay.
I don't know about Dylan Cousins.
No, he's
shocked.
He's on the block.
I'd be shocked if that happened. I can't see Buffalo letting a first round pick from a couple of years ago walk.
Mm-hmm.
No, they let Jack Eichel walk.
Don't think so. Don't think so. Their goaltending is pretty good this year. The goaltending's not their problem. There are teams that could use a goaltender. Ersson, you put Ersson on the Oilers, boy.
Mm-hmm.
That would be very interesting.
Mm-hmm. They're also in need of a defenseman too.
Oddly enough, I'm actually kind of happy you brought this up. Have either of you guys played NHL 25 yet?
No.
My gaming days are long behind me, my friend.
Just completely ironic, Brad, that you brought this up. You'll never guess who's the starting goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers.
Ersson?
No.
Who? Don't tell me Shesterkin.
No, Carter Hart.
Oh, really?
They don't even have him as a free agent. They have him assigned to the Edmonton Oilers. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that yet, but if you're playing NHL 25,
hometown.
Check the Edmonton Oilers to see who their starting goaltender is. If it's not Carter Hart, I'm going to be very surprised.
Okay.
But I mean, that's an interesting take there, Robbie, because I don't necessarily hate the idea of trading Sam Ersson, but I also know that Tortorella has this huge confidence in him, and I'm not the biggest believer that Sam Ersson is a franchise goaltender or a goaltender that can be a number one guy that's going to carry a team into the playoffs. I don't. And it's not a knock on Ersson. I just don't see it. I think he's a great tandem goaltender. He can go to any other couple team. He can go to any team who has a number one guy or a borderline number one guy, be a tandem with that guy and be incredibly successful. That's the kind of goaltender that I see him as. And again, not a knock. Priz, you already know, bro. Heartbreaker 101. I teach classes on Thursday nights. I don't see Ersson being that guy who can take the reins and be a full-on number one goaltender, especially in this city. I think he's going to be a very good goaltender. I think he can be a legit Stanley Cup goaltender. Like if he needs to come in a tough spot, he can be that guy. I just don't think that I just don't think he's a franchise guy. I just don't. I think Kolosov has the potential to be a franchise guy. Fedotov, I think he's a little too old, but he still has that potential as well. But I think the two guys coming in behind them are going to be guys who are going to take the reins and take this team to a whole nother level. That's just me though. And I don't hate the thought of trading Ersson. I'd rather keep him. But if he's going to get you the best return, I'm all for it. I'm all for trading whichever one of these goaltenders gets you the best return for this rebuild.
Hey, and I mean, Priz is right. He's done nothing to lose his spot as number one goaltender, and he gets inserted right back in there. And if he's here to stay and he is part of the future, then he is the Flyers' number one goaltender. There's no question about that. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. But I don't think this team drafts the way they do with goaltending if your long-term plans are Sam Ersson and you were already pretty confident you would be minus Carter Hart. So I just don't. So in terms of if he's not your long-term guy and you said that you expected this team to take a step back and this is a rebuild, well, these are the type of moves that you do. You know what I mean? You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Moran, our boy, Chucks from Birds with the... Well, actually, it's Eagles Talk A2D. That's my first flub of the evening. I wouldn't trade Ersson. I agree with you, Daly. I don't think he's the number one, but he's a really good tandem guy and someone we can rely on. I'd hang on to Ersson for now and pair him with Kolosov if we roll with two. And that's certainly a way that they can go, Chucks. Absolutely. And in terms of the modern day NHL, you need a strong tandem anymore in this league. And if he shows that he can be that for you, then yeah, maybe Fedotov is the guy that is the odd man out.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a great point by Chucks, because you know what? I mean, honestly, you can't really go wrong. He's definitely been, listen, since Carter Hart has his situation going on, and he's kind of been, I guess, is exonerated the right word from the NHL? I don't know. I don't know vocabulary, so I'm going to try and sound smart.
No, exonerated is when you clear your name.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exiled.
so
He's been
exiled.
exiled.
That's it. Vocabulary is not my thing.
Blackballed, maybe.
I'll lead up. Okay, blackballed is a good one too. I just.
I got
Yeah,
that
right?
punch, by the way.
He's really taken a step up, and he has taken the reins and said, "Hey, this is my team, boys. Don't worry, get on my back. I got you." But again, I just don't think he has the longevity, the stamina, the endurance to be a full-on franchise starter. He's going to tire out at some point. It is what it is. Like he was never the guy when he was playing through juniors and into getting drafted and all that. He never really played more than a handful of games. I think the most amount of games that he's played in a single season was, I think it was something like 30 something. I mean, it's a respectable number, especially for the NHL. But I mean, when you're expecting this guy to play 40, 50 games a year, to me, that's asking a lot. But I don't hate the idea of keeping Ersson. Honestly, I don't hate the idea of keeping any of these three. I think if you keep any combo of these three, it's going to work out well for the Flyers. This is a win-win situation, because whichever one you trade, you're going to get a nice return on. Win there. And whichever two you decide to roll with,
I don't know that
it's going to be a good tandem, and you're going to get, that's another win there.
I don't know how big a return you're going to get for just one of them. If you put them, if you package them, one of them with like Frost or Farabee or something along those lines, then you get the big return. But alone, I don't think so. They haven't played enough to really show. I mean, they've been good in the time that they played, no question about it. But you know, if you're looking for a big fish, you know, a guy like Rossi, you're not going to get trade Fedotov for Rossi. That's not going to happen.
No, you trade him for mid picks. You're not
Don't you want to try to get somebody, a young player that's going to help you now?
No, that's what you got.
It, sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got plenty of picks. There's 3 first rounders, 3 second. They got 6 picks in the first 2 rounds. So you got plenty of picks there that you can use. And then you got guys like Frost who are available. Lawton's available. Ristolainen's available, who's having a great year. There's plenty of other guys moving forward that you can There's plenty of guys moving forward that you can move to get a guy like a Marco Rossi or Dylan Cousins or somebody like that.
Right. You can package him and do it for sure. I just don't think by himself. I think he's more valuable in a package deal, to be honest with you. That's just how I look at it. Right. I mean, if you want to get a 4th or a 5th round pick, that's fine. But I think, wouldn't you rather try to get a big fish?
Not for one of them guys. You're not going to get it.
With Ersson, baby, That's why I threw that out there. That's it's a higher commodity. But he's got to prove that he's healthy though, because he came back and went back out. So he's got some playing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's got to play.
Listen. I got big. Listen, hang on to the second half of the show here, boys. I see Benny and Swoopy coming at me saying not picks, no picks. Hang with me here, fellas. We got 10 minutes left in this segment. We're going to jump over, and you're going to hear a whole nother conversation from me.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of different ways that this trade deadline can go for the Philadelphia Flyers. That's
By the way, the artificial trade deadline is December 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Just for those who are wondering,
boys, bear with me.
There's a freeze between the 20th and the 27th, so no trades. But there are a lot of teams that want to do something before the artificial trade deadline of December 20th.
Hang with me, boys. I promise I'm not going to disappoint you. I promise. But yeah, I mean, if you can, because goalies are, I feel like for a lot of teams, goalies are going to be a hot commodity. So there's going to be a little bit of a urge to pay a little bit more, especially if a guy like Fedotov, Kolosov, or Ersson are all playing well. If you can get a mid-level pick, great. I'm all for it. If you can get multiple mid-level picks, even better. But for one of those three, maybe like Robbie was saying, maybe we get a little bit more for Ersson. Maybe we can get a player and a pick or a later pick or anything like that. But if you can get a couple picks for a guy like Kolosov or Fedotov,
right,
and then rock with whoever you don't go with Ersson, win in my book. And on top of it, you're giving these other teams control of these players. Except for maybe, I don't know if Ersson's under contract after this year, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Check that out. I'll read this comment from John Malmos going, no, more picks. Package Ersson and a second-round pick and get a defenseman. That's what I'm kind of talking about. And I think that might have been up for discussion when the Columbus Blue Jackets were looking to dish off David Jiricek. And he winds up going to the Minnesota Wild, right out from under the Flyers' noses. They were in some strong talks there, and we'll flash what that deal and what the Wild had to pay for that.
Though.
But he's only 21, 22.
Yeah, but he hasn't really shown me that he's going to be that much better than what he is right now.
I mean, it is Columbus.
Yeah, okay. But he's getting a lot of playing time. That's the thing.
Again, he's 20, 21. He's still super young. But his peripherals really have not been good. That's all I'm saying. You can pick apart any of these young guys and find a flaw. It's not like he's 28 years old in his prime and Minnesota gave up what they gave up for him. So, I mean, you literally find flaws in every prospect. Look at Michkov. Michkov is a defensive liability. He's gotten better.
Yeah, he's good offensively. With those mitts, come on.
No, and I agree with you.
He's got that forehand, backhand move on the breakaway. Nobody can stop him. They even know it's coming, and they still can't stop him. That's how good that move is.
But the one good thing about Jiricek and his play is he's physical. He's a big body. Mm-hmm. He just needs to work on a few things here and there. And I think going to Minnesota with that defensive core that they have, he's going to take a step forward this year. Because they got a lot of good, big-bodied, physical defensemen there that are going to help him take that next step. I think this is a great deal for him. I think getting out of Columbus is the best thing for him.
He's not going to get as much ice time though. He's going to be a third pair for sure there.
Okay.
So
again,
it's also another right-hand defenseman too.
Third pairs,
whichever way
pairs only get about 10 minutes of ice time a game though.
But again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially for a 21-year-old.
I'd like to see young players get more ice time, but okay.
Like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I got to learn to turn that light off before the shows. Sorry for the mid movement on my computer there, boys.
It's all good. It's all good. Little side note, I read this the other day. A little shout out to Jamie Pascal, Flyers nitty gritty. The Flyers are 10-5-2 since Emil Andre was recalled.
Mm.
He's shown he belongs. He's a top 4 D man, if not a top 2 pairing at this point. So I think his development had the Flyers cool. This is why I bring this up, because they had them not wanting to pay such a steep price for Jiricek. And I don't think the Flyers were getting him anyway, or anybody in the Metro Division, because the GM, what's his name, Don Waddle, said he wasn't interested in dealing. The price was more expensive if you wanted him to stay in the Eastern Conference, and dealing him in the Western Conference is a good move.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
John Davidson makes the final decisions there, and there's no
Yeah.
John Davidson's too smart to do that.
Yeah,
He's not going to let a team that he may have to play one day in the playoffs have
Sure.
that guy if
Sure.
they ever make it.
sure.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is, from what I understand, another reason why that deal didn't go through is because of Columbus wanted a player to come back in that deal too, with a couple of the picks, which I'm fine. Not after seeing what the payment was, I'm fine with this. They wanted a player too, and none of the players that the Flyers were offering him, they wanted nothing to do with. So it is what it is. I'm okay with not paying for massive picks and a player. And I'm actually going to pull up the trade here since Robbie just put it behind here. Let me get Benny's comment out. Benny, get your comment out of the way.
We love you, buddy.
Love you,
Look at
Benny.
that member sign.
Appreciate
member
you.
strong.
That was an insane
Hockey
trade.
strong, baby. Let's go. What is happening? Who's producing right now? Somebody get on him. Get that out of here.
There you go. Let me scroll that up a little bit. I think a little bit. It's cut off. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that wasn't including the whole deal.
Well, now it is.
I mean, Minnesota is out of their mind to give up that much.
Win now mode, baby. Plus, it gives them a young defenseman. They don't have a ton of really good young defensemen. They thought Ryan O'Rourke was going to be a first pairing guy. He can't get out of the AHL. Can't get out.
True.
But I think this is a massive overpay, in my opinion. But I think there's so much high risk, low risk, high reward on this that it's hard for me to sit there and say that both teams have the potential to win this trade. You get a lot of trade capital or draft capital that Columbus desperately needs to build around some of the young players that they have. And Minnesota gets a young stud defenseman that can flourish into top pairing D-man.
Yeah, but
And he gets a fresh start.
Third and fourth pick for him.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. I mean, Damian Hunt's a decent little player too.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So I'm saying, I think the Flyers. I mean, I get why they were going for this. This was Jamie Drysdale insurance. That's why you were looking into this, because Jiricek also being a right-handed defenseman. So plus, you can never have enough of those. And like you said, to Brian's point, a big-bodied one at that, opposed to Jamie, who's a little bit more sleek and stronger on the offensive side of the puck. So I don't know. I mean, we'll get in, like I said, in a couple minutes. We'll get into who the Flyers can go for from here and who might be on the move. But to wrap this up, boys, who do you see being the Flyers' starting goaltender at the end of the season, or tandem of two?
Ersson and Kolosov.
Yeah, I'm with Brad on this. I think it's going to wind up being Ersson and Kolosov.
Yeah, and Fedotov is they're gonna give him the chance. They're gonna try to showcase him. Give him some extra playing time, and try to, as I said, either put him in with somebody else and try to go and get themselves a good young player that's not quite reached his prime but can fit right in. That's what they need to be looking at.
Want to give some love to Regina Marvin. Thanks for chiming in tonight. Definitely keep them coming. Keep all the comments coming. Love to see the new faces, the new names. it's a beautiful thing what we're doing here at A2D. So if you want to be a part of this, right, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, become a member on YouTube like we saw Benny's Nation, and get the perks that come with being a member here at a2dradio.com. And if you can't catch us live on your favorite social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, well, X, I guess, whatever you want to call it, right? You can download us next day, later on that night, wherever you download your podcast. So become part of the family here at a2dradio.com. Hey, we're looking for players that might want to become part of the Flyers family. So we're going to move in to our second segment tonight, Flyers trade rumors. They are swirling. And as they are, as you start to enter December, right? Because to your point, Brad, the arbitrary date being December 20th in terms of, guys you want to get under, in your clubhouse, in your locker room, right? Adding to your team, adding to the future or your playoff push this year. But here's some of the names I'm just going to gloss over that I've been hearing in terms of who the Flyers might be linked to. And pay attention because there is a trend. Marco Rossi, center iceman. Trevor Zegras, always on the tips of Flyers talk because of his ties with Cam York and Jamie Drysdale. Dylan Cousins, I mentioned earlier, would Buffalo give up on a prized, high number 1 draft pick? He is up. He is in the trade rooms. Here's one that was really interesting, boys, and I'll leave it to you. A dark horse, and I think this would be more indicative if, the Flyers retain this playoff spot and they're trying to make a push. I've heard potential Flyers ties to Brock Nelson. And that would be
that one. Yeah, I've heard that one too.
This is the first time I'm hearing that.
33 years old, though. That's an interesting choice.
I
don't think they'd have.
You'd have to get him cheap, and it would be more for what can you do now?
Dealing with the Islanders, you're going to probably have to pay a little extra.
A tax.
For the division, yeah.
Yeah. You see, I'm with Priz on this one. Marco Rossi, to me, a young centerman,
absolutely,
is my number 1 target.
Yep.
I will take Marco Rossi all day, every day, twice on Sunday, 3 times on Monday, 7 times on Friday. I don't know how that math is going to add up, but you know what? Heather's the math teacher. Let's let her worry about that.
Right.
Marco Rossi, Josh Norris is a name that I've heard floating around. Get me one of those 2 gentlemen. I'll even take Shane Pinto. Shane Pinto just signed. I'm pretty sure Shane Pinto just signed a contract too, so you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
But a young centerman, a mid-6, I will take top 6 type of centerman absolutely all day. But it's gotta get more centers in here. Got to get more centers in here, preferably the young ones. And this is where I'm trading picks for and maybe matching up a Morgan Frost, a Joel Farabee, a Scott Lawton. I am not – listen, and I know I was saying this earlier. This is why I'm trading for picks. This is why I'm trading a goalie for picks later. It's because I'm moving picks and I'm moving players to bring in those ready players now. Brock Nelson, that's an interesting name, and I think that's a great leadership move. It helps create a culture in the locker room because he is that guy. I don't like the age. That's the only thing I don't like about Brock Nelson is
33.
33. Yeah. Too old for me. Too old for me. But even if you
that's if you're just trying to if you find yourself in playoff position and you're looking to maybe take yourself a little run and get some playoff experience, you'll need a guy like a Brock Nelson. I think that's the only way you see a move like that.
If they were to do that, that would be a March move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Most of these moves that we're talking about here are probably going to be those moves at the actual trade deadline.
Right.
That's when all the really big splashes happen anyway.
Right. Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, hey, Marco Rossi makes a lot of sense. He's a pending restricted free agent. Will the Wild have enough money to keep him around? I think he makes an excellent partner for Michkov if that's what you're trying to find in terms of a center iceman that can create and allow Michkov to be creative. But I just don't see Minnesota wanting to dish a 23-year-old when they currently have a 16-4-4 record and they just acquired Jiricek as well. So maybe they're trying to take a little run. Hey, I would love it as I've had a hard on for Rossi ever since we previewed the 2020 draft. He's definitely a target, but the price will be high, just like it would need to be. It needed to be for Jiricek. But I think in the end, right, you could package a Morgan Frost and get a deal done because that gives them a player now because they can continue on that path, the Minnesota Wild, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're looking, maybe for the future, Brian, you touched an interesting one in terms of the Flyers are having current talks with the Ottawa Senators, they're looking for a mid-6 forward and a D-man to play on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously target, you mentioned him, Shane Pinto.
Mm-hmm.
I would do a Rasmus Ristolainen and Morgan Frost deal for Shane Pinto.
I would do that for either him or Norris. I think Josh Norris is having a fantastic year too now that he's finally healthy. Go check out Jesse Bell at Old City Sports. He does their Flyers Alley over there. I think he does another show too, but go check out Jesse. He does some good shit over there at Old City Network. Marco Rossi doesn't bother me. I don't think he's adapting poorly. He's a little more than a half a point per game player in his short stint in the NHL. He definitely has some room to grow for sure, and he definitely has to mature a little bit if he really is having that problem adapting. But even still, there's so many other young targets out there. If I'm going after Rossi, I'm going to consider giving them Joel Farabee.
Yeah.
One, it's
you could have to.
Yep. So obviously, contract. You're going to release some cap space there. You're going to give them another young player who, honestly, I think needs a fresh start. I think he's gotten a little stale here in Philly. So maybe moving a Farabee, and I love Farabee. I think when he's on, he's one of the best players on this roster. I think giving him an opportunity to go to Minnesota, play on a playoff team, play with the likes of Ersson Ek and Kaprizov and a couple other the really good players that they have over there could be a kick in the ass for him. And I think coming to a team like Philadelphia could be good for Marco Rossi. But pound and tell, and we'll see with this. But for me, the centerpiece is going to be Joel Farabee in that deal. If I like the deal that you said with Ottawa, though, Rob, I would definitely consider Ristolainen. I would definitely consider Morgan Frost. Both of those, Risto is having a fantastic year. And if you can get a little bit more, if you can get a first rounder and a player or second rounder and a player with that pick or with those, with that package, I should say, that's a great deal. Because again, you're having a young player like Josh Norris come over or Shane Pinto, both can play center. I think Norris can play wing too. So that gives you a little bit of versatility.
Right. Well, yeah, but I see why I'm more in favor of Pinto is that he really helps the Flyers size issue and up the middle at that. I think he's 6'3", 204 pounds. That's what I kind of like out of my center iceman. And I think it's just a good fit, in terms of complementing your current roster. And you don't have to give up as much as you would for a Marco Rossi or a Cousins or a Zegras, right?
Yeah.
And Rasmus, his trade value is at its highest, in my opinion. I think he's played extremely well while Philly has been down D-man. Mm-hmm. He's also been linked to Edmonton as well, so he could possibly be on the move there on an individual one-for-one deal, and that would be interesting, too.
No, absolutely.
Guys,
the only thing that worries me with
a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois, I know he's got the $8.5 million salary, but
no,
yet Washington may not want to keep him the way he's been playing.
No.
He's big, he's strong.
Mm-mm.
Got a lot of ability.
Nope.
You don't like him, huh?
Nope. I want nothing to do with Pierre-Luc with that contract. I want nothing to do with him.
Well, that could always be worked out too. If you can make a 3-team trade, you could end up getting paying a third of it. But
it's not even the payment; it's the length. It's too long.
Well, way too much. When did he sign that? I know it was 2 years ago.
3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
He's got
like 6 years on it. Yeah. He has not lived up to his potential since leaving wherever it was that he started, Columbus I can't remember if it was Columbus or Winnipeg, but he has not lived up to that.
He started in Columbus and then went to Winnipeg for Liney.
Right. Yeah. Nope. Want nothing to do with him. He can stay in Washington.
Did Lane play tonight? By the way,
He
I saw
did.
rumblings about that. Yeah.
He did. He made a season debut tonight. He did. Actually, let's check on that real quick. Let's see how he did. But Shane Pinto, the only thing that worries me about him, I like the size. You were pretty much spot on, 6'3", 201 there, Robbie.
Nice.
His point
I like
production
when
is
my
kind of off
research
already.
pays off.
Yeah, he's played 16 games, and I get it, 16 games, but he's only got 3 points in those 16 games, so kind of want to see a little bit more. Montreal did win in overtime. Let's see how Lane did. Patrick Lane.
A couple other teams that Morgan Frost has been linked to. Anaheim Ducks are interested. Your Anaheim Ducks are interested in purloining Morgan Frost. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks are also been in talks for Morgan Frost as well.
Yeah, I expect Anaheim to be in on anybody and everybody that's breathing in the NHL right now, and as they should, because they need to collect cap. They are still on the floor, and let's be real. They could eat some of this contract stuff up. I wouldn't be surprised if they are a bunch of brokers for a bunch of teams at the trade deadline. Collect some picks and eat some of that cap.
They need to pick up a few older players though. Anaheim. I mean, you got all these young players.
Sure.
You got all these young players, and I mean, I know they got Gudis, which to me was a good idea. But I think they need a couple of old players on that team. I mean, you put all these young players out there without enough veteran leadership, and yet you end up having a mishmash. None of these guys develop properly.
They got plenty of.
I think that was the problem they had.
They got plenty. They got Ryan Strome, Frank Vetrano, Cam Fowler, Radko Gudis, Isaac Lundestrom. He's been around. They got a bunch of guys that are veterans. If anything, they need to start moving some of them. Vetrano's a free agent at the end of the year. Probably not going to re-sign. He's probably going to get traded at the deadline. Fowler's going to be traded at the deadline. Gibson's probably going to be traded at the deadline. If anything, they need to shed some of it and make room for some of the other guys that are getting ready to come up. I mean, at this point, Terry, Zegras, McTavish, and Leo Carlson, they've all been more than good enough to take the step up and be the leaders on this team and help the guys get better. On the defensive side, like maybe you hold on to Gudis a little bit longer to help with the development. Brian Dumoulin, same reason. Robbie Fabry, same reason when he gets healthy. They got plenty of veteran leadership. If anything, they got to shed some of it. Okay. And Lane had a power play goal tonight.
Good for him.
That's what he does. Score on the PP.
Let's go. Yeah, I would be more than happy to see Anaheim trade for another NHL-ready player. Maybe get another defenseman who's on a 1-year deal and have him wind up being like another Brian Dumoulin to help guys like Zellweger and Tristan Luneau when he comes back up, and a bunch of the other young guys. Like, I mean, if they come in on a 1-year deal, I'm all for it. But as of right now, I'm looking to bring in more young talent. Who'd you say?
Trouba.
You already know how I feel about him.
Yeah, well, we're starting to feel that way about him because he hasn't been hitting anybody this year.
I would take Zibanejad, though, in a heartbeat.
No, you wouldn't.
Oh, absolutely, I would. He may be having a bad year this year or a bad start to the year this year, but he is far from terrible. I would take Zibanejad in a heartbeat.
That won't happen, though. He's got a no movement clause.
Well, I know. And plus, he's going to want to win, so he's not going to want to go to a rebuilding team. But I mean, with the weight we would
love to see him go. He's just not. He's not cutting it at all.
Priz is interested in Josh Norris. Hey,
Josh Norris
is a great player as well. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Zibanejad's just shy of a point per game player right now. He's not playing terrible. Maybe defensively he's not been great, but offensively he's 5-13.
Huh?
He's 5-13.
Yeah, he's also like -13 though.
Okay.
All his numbers are on the power play. 5-on-5, he's horrible.
Okay, he's a power play specialist. So Luke Schen's built his entire career on that.
9.5 million a year for a power play specialist. But we just know how to pick them, don't we? I mean,
if you look at it,
Kreider makes 6.5 mil, but he's worth it.
okay, so
He scored over 100 goals in the last 2 1/3 seasons, so you can't complain about him. But Zibanejad, I'd get rid of him in a heartbeat if somebody would, if he would let us trade him.
Yeah, he's probably been a little bit of defensive liability, like I said, this year. And again, we're 24 games into the season. That could change.
Yeah, but he was bad last year too, Brian.
No, he wasn't. I'm looking at the stats right here. He was a plus 15 last year.
Yeah, but he didn't score a lot last year.
26 goals.
You put him with the right players, man. He has a scoring touch like Ovechkin, man. Like, has that gone away in a year?
No.
I don't know. It sure seems like it.
Really? Wow. Hey, players can drop off a cliff. It's happened before.
They can. Well, and they also can be off to slow starts. Come January, he might put up 35 goals.
Yeah,
we don't know.
To see that.
But to sit here and say the guy stinks and you're ready to trade him because he's having a slow start's a little ridiculous, especially after what he's done for you in the past.
He was bad last year. He sucked in the playoffs.
It's 72 points last year, Brad.
Huh?
He had 72 points last year.
He is not the player he was. He's slow. He doesn't hustle. He never goes in front of the net. He's a perimeter player. He's just not, and he's lost a step, or 6 for that matter.
Oh my God! At 31, really?
Do you know why he has so many assists?
Because he's a playmaker. He's not a sniper.
No, because Panarin's on his line.
Okay, and he's still a playmaker. He's not a sniper.
He scored 41 goals a couple of years ago. He can be a sniper. He's not emotionally involved anymore. He's checked out.
He's always had more assists than he's had goals in his career.
Yeah,
he's
but he has
always had more assists than he's had goals.
So you don't watch him every day, so you have no idea the way this guy's playing. You
don't know what I watch when you're not around.
You're just joining us. This is the type of fun shenanigans that we have here, and it's great. We break bread, we talk, we argue, and we come back to the table. But I love just eating a popcorn and watching these two debate.
Me talking badly about one of my players
once in his career
is
he's broken 40 goals once in his career.
Right, but he's gotten over 30 a lot too.
Twice.
He's also gotten a lot of points. He is nowhere near what he was before. He's fallen off the cliff.
Brad, it's 24 games into an 82-game season. And he's already at 18.
Check out his plus-minus rating. Okay?
That's only a part of the story, Brad. I already told you he's a defensive liability this year so far.
Yeah, well, what do you think the Rangers' problem is this year?
Defense.
Right. And who is a big part of that problem?
Oh, I'm sorry. Because Zibanejad is a center. He's not a defenseman.
You can't have a center who plays no defense.
Who says he's not playing defense? He's only a minus 14 in 24 games.
That's pretty bad.
I'm not saying it's not bad.
Just wait till he's going to be like minus 30 this year.
Okay, what about in 2 weeks he straightens out, right? What's it going to be all rainbows and sunshine? You're going to come on here and say, oh, I told you Mika Zibanejad has been great all year. We should have traded him. We're great.
Ears. Not going to happen. I'm telling you. I can tell you. They've moved Panarin with him now. Okay, he's now playing with Panarin and he's playing with Kreider. If he
I'm sorry for not
a lot of goals
comments
with
for
these guys, I
here.
give up.
Give me a minute. But Brad, he's 31. It's still young into the season. Anything can happen. We've seen teams go from the bottom of the standings to raising the Stanley Cup in the span of a couple months. It can literally happen. You're ready to give up on half a team in 24 games.
No, I'm ready. No, basically,
games.
What I've seen is what I saw in the playoffs, and with some of these guys, and it's continuing. Lindgren's fallen off a cliff. Keandre Miller, I give up with him. He's horrible. I think he should be moved to left wing. That's how bad he is. I mean, it's ridiculous to watch some of the guys on that team. It's
These
really
are talented
bad.
players you're talking about.
There's a lot of hockey left to be played. Is my point. You're ready to sell these guys off like they've never done anything for this organization.
Did you watch the game last night? Did you watch that?
I didn't watch the game last night.
That's that solid effort that they put in. And Igor Shesterkin,
what do you want them to be? 82-0? Not like this.
No, but I don't expect them to lose 6 out of 7. That's ridiculous.
Every team's going to go through it. We've talk about this every year. Teams are going to go through rough spots like this. Be happy it's 24 games into the season and not towards March and April.
If there is one for them.
Oh, this is why I can't stand New York fans, man. When everything's going great, it's all rainbows and sunshine. And when they have a bad streak, it's fire everybody.
Well,
come on, man.
I watch almost every game.
The Rangers are a cup contender. They are a cup contender for a reason. They are going through a rough spot just like every other team is. The Flyers were expected to take a step back. They had a slow start. Now they're sitting in a playoff spot.
But the Flyers,
again, it's only December.
Are playing solid defensive hockey. That is what gets you to the playoffs.
December.
That is what wins playoff games.
It's December. There's 50-some games to go.
We don't even have injuries right now, and we still suck. So how do you?
All right, I'll tell you what. I don't want to hear a single word when the Rangers turn it around about how good they are, how solid defense they're playing, how good their offense is.
When they're trading Igor at the trade deadline, I'll be the first one to tell you. I told you.
You really think they're going to trade Igor Shesterkin at the trade deadline?
If he wants $13 million,
at the beginning of the year, this team was going to win the Stanley Cup, Brad.
If he wants $13 million and plays the way he's been playing, and we don't have Benoit Allaire anymore to hold his hand, what do you think is going to happen to him?
You were saying 4 weeks ago this team's going to win a Stanley Cup.
That
they were a contender. Now all of a sudden they're not.
I thought that they deserved to be able to run it back, but you know what? They've tuned out the coach. They're not listening. They're not playing any defense. There's no urgency in this team. The only time they play with urgency is when they get a power play.
Oh, I give up.
I'm in for Keandre. Maybe he needs a change of scenery. Come down to Philly.
Maybe. Oh, you could have him.
I have ties on both sides. I have some New York ties. I have some Philly ties. I can make it happen. I can barter this.
Listen,
I can be your guy.
You're
your guy? I'm your guy.
His hockey IQ is as bad as my opera IQ. Okay, I couldn't tell you one opera singer. So
was it? Are you saying Keandre was a hype player?
No, I'm saying that he is so bad defensively that he should be move back to left wing because that's what he was in high school, right. And then in college they turned him into a defenseman.
Hey, I thought the same thing about Gossespierre. And you know what? He's turning out to be a solid NHL defenseman for Carolina this season. So maybe you just need to be patient with Andre.
Listen, everybody who goes to Carolina suddenly becomes a solid player. That doesn't count. Carolina.
But where did he play before? He played Detroit the year before, Gossespierre?
Yeah, he was okay.
Yeah, and he was pretty good. That's what got him the contract. Carolina.
So, he was okay. He was okay in Detroit.
I want Ghost Bear back. I want him back. Trade another pick and get him back. We traded a pick to get rid of him. Trade a pick and get him back.
I just don't get it. You're so willing to give up on players 24 games in. Like it'd be different if you're looking at it from like, okay, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. But you're 24 games in. You're ready to sell the farm. You're ready to sell the farm 24 games in. That is absolutely crazy.
The way they've been playing deep. The way they've been playing lately,
it's December, understand. Brett. Every team goes through a rough stretch.
They're not.
Every team does.
They're not involved. They're not playing hard. They're getting out hustled every game. And they got slaughtered
from everybody, though. This isn't just a Rangers thing.
Do you understand? They got slaughtered at home by the Devils. Do you not think that could be a fireable offense for Laviolette?
Hey, that's some losses count more than others. I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did probably stung, but listen, you're going to sit there and tell me that not another team in the NHL gets blown up by a team that they probably shouldn't.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Exactly. It's
when it
this.
comes to
It's the
when it comes
NHL,
to
Brad. It's what it's going to happen.
okay, so
Teams are going to go through stretches like this.
so if you lose 6 or 7 in a row, okay, and then Pittsburgh comes in and blows your brains out, what are you going to think?
It's going to think it's just a rough stretch, a game that they probably should have won. It's bounces is probably not going their way. They're probably, yes, I agree. They're not playing well at the moment.
Right.
But to completely give
this
up right
defense,
now and sit there and completely change your
defense thing
tune
has
from
been
4
going
weeks
on.
ago is ridiculous.
This defense thing has been going on since the second game of the season. This isn't something that just happened. Okay. The beginning of the season, Igor was playing lights out. Now Igor's in a slump. Okay, and they're really being exposed. There's no way this team can win a cup the way they're playing right now, unless they completely change things. And I don't know who's going to step up. They've got 4 or 5 guys right now who are not scoring at all.
Right on. Well, this is a Flyers talk A2D. This is not Rangers talk A2D. So I'm just going to step in. I'm the show host tonight. Time out.
Fair enough.
I apologize.
That's okay.
You can have Zibanejad. That's all.
Oh, okay. Hey, all right. That was a good addendum. I'm glad I let you slip that in. All right. Last 4 minutes of the show, boys. Right. I want a prediction time. Right. I know it's early and there's a lot of time between now and the trade deadline, but this is when the rumor mill starts in December. Right. Name one guy on the move from the Flyers and one guy that will land on the Flyers.
For me, it's going to be Morgan Frost. And I don't ask me why, but I strongly believe it will be Josh Norris or Marco Rossi. One of those two will be here.
Frost, it seems like he's a change of scenery candidate, right? Mm-hmm. And that makes a lot of sense. I would love to see them be patient because I think this guy can be your top line center. If not, certainly your second line center. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say the guy on the move is Ristolainen. And the player you get back is Shane Pinto.
I like the way you think.
Okay. Now, here's a couple that you probably haven't heard about, but I'm going to put this one out there. Trent Frederick goes to Boston for Farabee.
Ooh. Okay.
There's your young center who's a vicious son of a you-know-what. And, I mean, he just looks like a Flyer.
Mm.
He just does.
Boston definitely could be on the selling mode.
He's a nasty little bastard. He's also, by the way, going to be a restricted free agent at the end of the season. Boston's not going to have the money to pay him, so they are going to unload him. And he just, I mean, listen, I would love for my team to get him because I just think that he's exactly what they need. But he just, to me, there's certain players that look like Flyers around the league. Okay. Just like there are certain players that, look like they're going to end up being Edmonton Oilers and that sort of thing. Okay, that's the guy I think ends up getting moved. And there's no.
That's why I laughed. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brad. That's why I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at this comment from Benny. Go on. I'm sorry.
Adam Jones is not getting traded to the Rangers. We're not that stupid.
Benny's saying Lawton goes. And he's in agreement with you, Trent Frederick.
Yeah, I think that's the guy. The guy scored. I think that his high for goals is only 18, but he's still pretty young. And you know what? He's not making a hell of a lot of money right now. He might make a lot of money, after when he's a restricted free agent. You're going to have to pay him. Now, how much money that is, God only knows. That's something you have to decide. I think he's only making about $3 million right now. Right. So he's somebody that's affordable, young, nasty, has some skill, boy, he'd be a great player for you to have playing with Mitchkov, because you know what, nobody's going to mess with Mitchkov with him on the ice.
Sure.
You know, and he's definitely skilled enough, and he'll get a lot of goals with his net front presence too. So that, to me, that's your good.
That's been a bread and butter here in Philadelphia in the past.
And he's relatively disciplined too, from the looks of it.
Sure. Priz also saying Lawton to Florida for picks to shore up their roster. Yeah. You know, I think that was talked about last year as well, as the Florida Panthers were gearing up for a playoff run that, you know, ultimately ended in them hoisting the Stanley Cup. All right, boys, let's wrap up this popsicle stand. Tonight's Flyers Talk A2D was brought to you by the Doc. That's Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, with 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check out our doc. Make them yours. Visit them at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Next Flyers game is, if you're going through some Flyers withdrawal, hopefully we helped you out tonight. But your next game is at home against, ironically enough, the Florida Panthers. Maybe they get an in-house demonstration of what Scotty Superman Lawton can bring to your team. Hey, this Saturday they face the Bruins, so get some talks about Tyler Frederick. And then they see for the first time the Utah Hockey Club on Sunday. Next Tuesday, we'll be here 9:00, giving you third period live reactions and post-game coverage of Philadelphia Flyers versus the Blue Jackets. A lot of these teams have been in this talk for the upcoming trade deadline, so it's sure to be exciting. Thanks for joining us tonight, fam. Thanks for all the comments. We love you. Brian Daly, Brad Ryer, I'm Rob Povia. We'll check you next week here on a2radio.com.
Be good.